So I got all past that. We did that for a little while. Probably a couple months into it, I'm backing up a little bit. I'm driving back. This is after a bunch of experience. I'm driving back from the beach to the valley. I'm going through Topanga Canyon. And I said, okay, if you're real, give me something. And I all of a sudden a word came into my head, biocentric. I had never heard the word before, ever. I wrote it down. I Googled it. I had found out that, what it meant. But more important, not more important, but as important, Dr. Robert Lanza, the world's leading stem cell researcher, had just come out with these books called Biocentricism and Beyond Biocentricism, which basically is, how everything is conscious, humanity's connection to consciousness, opening up the gateways to the cosmos and beyond. And I'm not doing it, but so it was this. And the definition of biocentricism was like everything is conscious, all beings have equal value, man doesn't have the inherent right over any other being to dictate any kind of sort of like process or killing or whatever, that we're sort of all connected, and it goes deeper than that. But it was a very profound thing, exactly what I was getting from this experience. So what I got from that is they wanted me to do a documentary about Dr. Lanza's work, about biocentricism and consciousness in general. So I didn't know Dr. Lanza. I don't have any relationships in the scientific world, but because we have this family and this, business entertainment, I think I was able to open some doors. I was able to get a hold of Dr. Lanza. I cold called him one day. And he didn't answer. I left him this really long message, which basically I told him I just dumped the story on him. And I thought, I got to be honest. I can't bullshit. I can't code it, not code it, but I can't couch it in any kind of, I got to just tell him. So I laid it on him, and the dude called me back, and I was shocked. And he called me back and he said, look, Christopher, I'm a scientist, but I can tell you that, all of this sprang from, let's just say, similar types of experiences. I'm not going to go into detail, but what he said at the end of the day was, you have my full support to do, and whatever you need, I will do it. We can do this documentary totally for free. He's doing it. And he put his assistant on it, to do this incredible outline about how to roll out biocentricism throughout the beyond the pale of what he should have done. When somebody's coming to him to do a documentary about him, normally how these things work is you have to pay money for rights, you have to do this, you have to do that. None of that. It was like, yes, 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 yes. And I'll tell you something else. I have let's just say a significant person in my life who's a little older, who's probably, I would say, one of the most famous people in the world, if not maybe the top three of the last 50, 60 years. Yeah, I know you're talking about. This person in particular, who I'm very close with, I've approached a few times about doing business things with them, and they've always said no. They always said, hey, I love you, but no. I mentioned to this person, I didn't go into great detail because I don't know if this person would be open to what the detail is, but I basically, emailed this person one day and I said, hey, look, I'm doing a documentary on consciousness because I think it's really important, and I kind of laid out the facts, the sort of general facts, and I sent an email. Anyways, this is a person that, gets back to me, but it takes a few weeks or it takes a few days. This is a very busy person. This person got back to me less than a minute and says, oh my God, Christopher, I'm writing right now my biography about my life. I'm writing about our time together when we were a family. And more importantly, I'm writing how consciousness is the only thing that can save humanity at this current time. Yes, 100% I will be in your documentary, 100%. And honestly, Grant, I've talked to some, I want to do the documentary. I'm doing the documentary about biocentricism, but it's about consciousness in general. And I really feel that, all input is valued input in terms of consciousness, life experiences, synchronicities. So I'm interviewing all types of people. So the focus is biocentric, but I'm interviewing some famous singers, some famous actors, some politicians, some scientists. Oh God, where was I going with this? This is where I'm going. In my 30 plus years working in the entertainment world at a fairly high end, I've never had an experience business wise where anyone has said yes for free, ever, especially these kind of people. Every single person has said yes for free and donated hours and hours of their time and said yes right off the bat. So that tells me great forces are at work here. That tells me great forces are behind the scenes willing to aid us in our endeavors if we're willing to do the footwork. Greater forces that we can ever imagine, forces of love and compassion. The constitution of universal law is love and compassion, in my opinion, and from what they're telling me. And all we need to do is be willing and have even a halfway bit of an inch of door open in our spirit to be willing, even if 97% we think is total horseshit. If 3% is willing in an authentic way and we're willing to do the footwork, great forces of love and compassion are coming to our aid, period. Wow. And they're already in motion in a groovy sort of way. So, right, look, Grant, this is what you're saying. This is what I'm getting from them, which is this. Everything you just said is 100% bullseye. Both you and Desta are doing amazing work, groundbreaking work, period. Love it. What they're telling me is this, is that biocentricism is the basis alphabet in terms of understanding, knowing, communication, ways of thinking, ways of being, how things are in all the universes. From there, it goes beyond. But it's not about UFOs. It's not about any of these things. I mean, it is about these things because people are having these experiences and they're very real. And I'm not saying that that's not real and it's not valuable. But what they're saying to me is that everything is this space of consciousness in terms of communication, in terms of physical being, that this world that we live in is this sort of manufactured narrative, but that everything is really energy and thought and consciousness. And oh boy, I'm rambling because I'm not an expert, but I'm learning that. But it's like the more focus we put on, hey, wait a minute, let's stop trying chasing UFOs. Let's sit down, close our eyes, meditate, and go as deep as we can into that space, because in that space, it's the whole ball of wax. Yeah. And, again, I'm not an expert. I'm just learning this stuff, but that's where it all is. Yeah. I'll tell you honestly how it happened. Like I said, I had watched the Stephen Greer movies, and that kind of lit some sort of subconscious fire in me. And then that, I think, was a synchronicity to open me up, that got my consciousness focused a little bit, even on maybe a subconscious level, to this topic. And then I had my contact. After having contact, when that first daytime thing and it started, I started watching different YouTube videos. I would see like the Secure Team stuff and the Phil Phase of Moon and Stephen Greer and your stuff. I saw one or two of your videos and mostly was watching all these other kind of different just craft videos. But what happened for me is, I've always been a person, even before all of this, that I felt kind of like I could feel energy of people. I don't want to say like super psychic, because I wasn't that at all. I wasn't psychic, but I could feel like if somebody walked into the room and they were an angry person, I could kind of feel that, or if they were really loving, I could feel that. When I saw there was something about your face and the way you talked, when I saw your face and when I saw you speak, it wasn't the words you spoke, it wasn't the way your face looked. There was something about you that I felt like I had known my whole life. I felt like it was like a long lost best friend or a brother or somebody that I had a dear love for. And I don't expect that to be reciprocal. I'm not saying it for any of those reasons. That was just a point in fact. And I was kind of like struck by, I don't know this person. You have to understand, I'm a super reclusive person my whole life. I don't think I'm better or worse than anybody. I love people, but I work and I go home, and that's it. I don't make new friends. I wanted to, but I haven't. In most of I've had a couple friends that I've been friends with for 50, 40 years, whatever. Yeah. But when I saw your face and I heard your voice, there was something about you. And so I knew I had to contact you. I swear to God, that's how it happened. And when you called me, I was so excited and shocked. And I said to my wife, why am I so fucking excited to talk to Grant Cameron? I don't know this guy. I mean, not that you're not an amazing dude, you are. But I just was like really excited. And after I talked to you on the phone that night, I said to my wife again, I said, I feel like I just, talked to an old friend that I haven't seen for many years. So that's how it started. And then after is when I kind of discovered, after we had that conversation about what you were saying. And it was very much in line with everything that, I was learning. I just want to say another thing about consciousness or any of this stuff. I doubt myself all the time about all of this stuff because you can't help it, because something weird that happens is like, if you don't see them, like if they come all the time and then they stop coming for a day or a week. And I noticed that they started to stop coming in a certain way. They would show up around a full moon, usually a couple days before a full moon, stay for 2 days after a full moon, and then leave. But that entire time, that this was happening for the first, let's say it's happened for 8 months, for 6 months of it, I was seeing them, everything I just told you, I was seeing with my eyes, but, I couldn't see anything else, ghosts, spirits, or any of these things. 2 months ago, I started seeing these things inside the house, and I told you that, I started seeing these things outside in our garden, these flashes of darkness that would fly through the window and literally into the house. And then after like a week of seeing that, it kind of turned into orbs, and I was seeing hundreds of orbs flying through the garden, in the house, or just in the house. Then I was seeing these smoky, wispy sort of things in our house that would just, and then I would see these dots of golden light in the house that would appear with little sparkles all around them. Now, I wasn't seeing that for almost 50 years of my life up until 2 months ago. So this has been a progression, but what they're telling me is, look, Christopher, it's not, we showed up as UFOs to catch your attention. Yeah. But that's not what it's about, man. It's about energy. We're teaching you, because you're a visual person, we're letting you see these things. And now I see these things, Grant, every single day, night. If there's a little shadow in room, or if it's nighttime, it's 24/7 in the house. I literally can be sitting with my wife watching TV, not seeing anything, and then get a little feeling inside myself to say hello. And I literally adjust my consciousness. I do soft eyes. I kind of watch without watching, and the smoke starts doing this little wispy smoke thing, and then the little sparkles and the orbs everywhere. And so it's totally about that. They did something to me, and they shifted my consciousness in a way where I'm now seeing these things, and it's now becoming way more about that and about craft and stars in the sky. So anyways, I'm rambling. I apologize. Yep, I do have a name for him. I prefer not to say his name right now, but yeah.
No, okay, you don't have to. But I'd like to hear this message about the fear thing, which you told me about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what he told me, I'm assuming it's a he, and what I call him by a certain name, and I also say to the others being family. I call them family because, and it was crazy because of these other random videos I've seen for people, they call them family too. These are absolutely our family 100%. So what they said to me was, when they make contact with a person, they scan the person's consciousness as a way to create a communal alphabet so that they can talk with the person. They always talk to the person in the person's voice, in what they're telling me.
Yeah.
They scan the consciousness, so so whatever that person's collection of memories are, feelings, thoughts, and emotions about life, themselves, people, movies they've seen, just everything. They scan all that information, and then they use that as a common language alphabet to communicate with that person, so that that person can understand, and there's mutual ground to connect with and have an ongoing relationship with, so that it's not totally this foreign thing starting up. So it's a starting place for the human being because it's their own experiences, and they use that as a way to create conversation and talk and interact. And so what he was saying was, if the person is a super loving person, then that's the experience and the dialogue and the conversation that that is going to happen with you. And that relationship is going to be that type of relationship. If the person is a super fearful person, then they're going to use that information as a way to communicate and also teach you lessons. And so, by the way, you can request what you want and what you don't want. Now, I don't know if that works with all different beings, but with these beings, it has. When this first started, I was terrified. And I said to them before I knew his name or being family, I would always go to this place of love you being family, love you being, because I was so scared. I was so terrified, but I felt in my gut, if I say love you, it felt like a common language. It must be somehow. And so I would just go to this place of just saying nothing but love you being family, love you being family, because I was so terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then at one point I said, please be gentle with me. I don't want to be terrified. I don't want my family to be hurt. Can you just be gentle with me and take me through these experiences in a gentle way, please? And they did. And that was in the very beginning before they sort of taught me this other thing. But then, this other lesson was basically, I was asking, so basically it's all about a person, who they are as a human being, what occupies their consciousness. That's going to dictate the type of relationship that you have and the experiences that you go through and how you are taught. But from what they're telling me, it's never meant with hurt. It's never meant to terrorize somebody. It's just meant as a tool of teaching, and they don't know any better. All they know is what they're scanning from the person. So if they scan your consciousness and they see a terrorized, fearful, bigoted, whatever it is, that's all they know about the person. So that's what they're going to use at their disposal to talk to you and communicate and teach you. They don't know that, so I'm sure they know, but in terms of dialogue, that's what I'm assuming from what they're telling me, that's what they assume works best for that person. So that's how they teach.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a pretty loving person. I mean, I'm certainly a flawed human being, but that's where I was coming from. And that's kind of how it's gone for me. And I also requested if they could be gentle, and I still do every day and night, and thank them. And, there was a dialogue that happened. So basically where we are today is I talk to them every day and every night. It's not a big deal. It's not like this long conversation that happens every time, but literally I can get one-word answers or a couple sentence answers, but it's pretty on tap. It's like whenever I ask or want to ask a question. And I'll tell you something else really crazy. They're still around, but they show up in different ways rather than big blazing orbs and, craft flashing. They show up in a more stealthy way now. But there was a period of time where they weren't showing up at all in a certain type of way. I was still talking to them every day. I was still seeing all the stuff at night in the house. That's never going away. I'm changed forever in that way. Yeah. And all this, and we were still communicating, but there was some time that went where I didn't see them, and I started to feel very homesick for them, very sad. And one night I was just basically kind of crying, and I had a hard day at work, and I was just like, I really, really, really need to see you. And I've had a couple moments like that where they'll flash a light in the sky a couple times to let me know that they're there at those moments, or slow, it's crazy. They're very compassionate, thoughtful, gentle, wise. I can't say enough about them. I mean, I know there's a lot of different types of beings, but these in particular are all those things and more. And they're our family, 100%. That's exactly correct. And that's exactly correct to a even bigger picture. You have to take ownership of your consciousness. And you have to understand that your consciousness is physical material, that whatever you're thinking, you're creating actual physical material that's going out into the world and creating whatever it is that, so you have to take ownership of your mind, your thoughts, and you have to make a conscious choice to pick a direction in terms of how you feel and your intention. Intention is everything, is what they're telling me. And that goes across the board and all. So my choice is loving and compassion. Yeah, but do just exactly what you said in every area. I want to say Desta is amazing and Grant is amazing, and you guys are doing really great work, really kick-ass work. I mean, you guys are so on target. And I can't go down the rabbit hole on secret bases and reptilian and all these other things. That might be true, because you know what, guys? I wasn't seeing orbs and smoke beams and golden lights while I'm watching South Park with my wife up until 2 months ago. And I was seeing UFOs, but all I'm saying is all that stuff could be real, reptilian, and all these different things. Who knows? But what I know is that I really appreciate the very focused, clear, amazing work that both of you are doing. And I really want to thank both of you again.